At Texas A&M University's Conservation Research Lab, historical mysteries are being unraveled as experts work to conserve 17 Revolutionary War cannon raised from the bottom of a river in Savannah, Georgia. The cannon were originally mounted on the Venus and the Savannah, sailing vessels sunk by the British military in fall 1779 to block a French fleet from advancing and helping a Patriot army attack the British-held city. They were discovered during dredging work in 2021. Raised the next year by divers contracted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Savannah District with support from the Jacksonville District. Studied by archaeologists from Chronicle Heritage.
Starts at 8 inches from center of trunnion.
And then brought by truck to the lab to be prepared for exhibit in a museum. The CRL team chiseled away a layer of concretion on the outside of the guns and removed the wooden plugs, cannonballs, and remains of powder charges from the barrels.
There it is.
Next came a process called electrolysis, submerging the guns in a sodium hydroxide solution and running electrical current through it to remove salts from the metal.
And removes the excess concretion that we couldn't get off manually.
No one knew exactly how long this process would take for each cannon.
Ultimately, the completion date rests in the hands of the cannons. So we say, hey, these cannons will take 6 months to a year, but if there's still chlorides coming out of the solution, we can't reason with the cannons and say, hey, we're hitting a deadline here.
When the time is right, the cannon comes out and the solution must be rinsed completely away.
The first thing we have to do is get any residual electrolyte off. So the cannons come out of the vats, they go into our big vat of boiling deionized water, and they get several boiling rinses. It takes a couple of weeks to make sure that we drive all of the sodium hydroxide off of the cannon. As soon as we finish boiling these cannons, they're like, I'm ready to rust.
The CRL team must act quickly to brush away any powdery rust. Then they paint the cannon with a coat of tannic acid to form a corrosion-resistant barrier.
You hear tannins when people talk about wine. It's just some acid that comes out of things like leaves and bark and trees. And so we take that acid and we paint it on the surface of the metal, and this forms a corrosion-resistant barrier called ferric tannate.
And once the tannic acid solution dries, they submerge the gun in a vat of molten microcrystalline wax.
This drives out the rest of the moisture from the cannon, and it also, when we take it out of the wax, it's invisible, but there's a moisture-resistant barrier from the wax.
The final step is to apply several layers of alkaline paint, sealing everything up to prevent any future corrosion.
It's a very dirty process and a very dirty job, but it's very, very fun and rewarding.
Now, more than a year later, 2 of the conserved cannon look brand new, shiny, black, and ready to be displayed. You'd never expect they spent more than 2¼ centuries at the bottom of a brackish river. While the conservation process is relatively straightforward, the story of the cannon's origins has taken some unexpected twists and turns. 14 of the 17 guns lack evidence that they were cast in British military foundries like other guns of the period.
These cannons don't have some of the things that we would expect for typical British cannons, right? The first thing on British military vessels, there's always a broad arrow that's stamped on the cannon. None of these have that. The second thing is that most cannons have a fair amount of information put on the metal itself. So you'll usually see like a weight marking, a proof mark, the foundry name, all these different things, right? We're very open to the idea that they might not be what we originally thought, and we're just going to do our due diligence to figure out what they are and then share that information with the world.
Texas A&M graduate student Alyssa Carpenter, who has been part of the project since the cannon arrived at the lab, traveled to the United Kingdom in search of clues.
And so I'm currently working on what 14, like what country of origin those could be from. And so I went there to look at those cannons to get the dimensions, the ratios to compare to ours.
Alyssa met with a British artillery expert at the Tower of London who verified that 3 of the 17 cannon are of British origin. This finding was confirmed by the curator of maritime history at the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, who said that 2 of the Savannah cannon are similar in size and style to a circa 1763 weapon in the museum's collection. Alyssa wrapped up her visit with a stop in the British National Archives, where she dug up period documents that mentioned the scuttling of British vessels in the Savannah River in 1779.
To figure out what ships sunk at that location, if there was like a ship manifest, where were they outfitted, kind of getting any knowledge that I possibly could.
The origins of the 14 apparently non-British cannon remain a mystery for now. But perhaps it's not surprising they might have American origins, since recent documentary research revealed that the Savannah was originally an American Patriot privateer, seized by the Royal Navy before it was sunk in Savannah.
We're not 100% sure where these came from just yet, but they do seem to have been the product of maybe some type of experimentation.
The remaining cannon will go through the final steps in the conservation process to prepare them for the return trip to Savannah, where they will be exhibited downtown in Savannah History Museum, adjacent to Battlefield Memorial Park, which marks the site of the 1779 Battle of Savannah. Reporting from the Conservation Research Lab at Texas A&M University for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Savannah District, I'm Michael Jordan.